In this episode, I want to cover everything from what it's like nursing newborns to the nursing supplies that I recommend, what happens if you have low milk production or you have overproduction. There's all these things that can happen, and really not to beat yourself up. So my twins are 2 years old, so I can't use them as examples, but I have their lovely dolls, so excuse that they're different sizes. Obviously, if they're my babies, I treat them a little bit better than this. Something I do want to recommend is that you subscribe to our YouTube channel, find us on Facebook, and check out feedingmykid.com, because we cover everything from nursing to introducing solids to dealing with picky eating through toddlerhood and young adults, and then what happens if your older child has any kind of eating issues or overweight. So it really covers the entire gamut from really pregnancy, actually, what to eat when you're pregnant, all the way through the high school and teenage years. So make sure you stay tuned, follow us and subscribe, and you'll get all of that. So in today's episode, like I said, I want to cover everything from newborns to what supplies you need, and what happens when you have low production, high production, and just kind of expectations of nursing. I think that's really important too. So we'll get started. So some of the supplies that I recommend is a double nursing pillow. I used to call it my buffet tray because I would stick the kids on there and kind of felt like a buffet. So I highly, highly recommend that you get these boppy type of pillows. There might be different brands, so I'm not, obviously I don't get anything from the company. So, but I would really recommend that you get 2 of these. What I recommend to get started with nursing with twins, you don't need a tremendous amount of supplies, but you do need a nursing pillow and a double. So I call this the buffet tray, and there's a couple different brands that sell them. This is my Breast Friend double. I really liked it, but I'm sure there's others that are as good or better or not better, I don't know, but that's the one I had. And then the boppy, these were just amazing for so many reasons. You could do tummy time on this, where you could let your baby kind of hang out here and lift their head. It's amazingly helpful when you're nursing for so many reasons, and I'll show you a couple. So that's some of the things. These blankets like we got from the hospital, the nurse was actually nice enough to give them to us, but I think that's kind of a no-no now. But let me show you something that it took me a while to learn. I used to have the kids on here to tandem nurse, and I would always be so afraid that they were going to fall off. And when you start nursing and you're nursing 24 hours a day, you're so tired that you do kind of fall asleep when you're nursing them, or you're just not with it because I think I went for 6 weeks straight with 45 minutes of sleep a day. Towards the end, I started to lose it, in the sense that I just started to drop things. It was, my cognitive abilities were really shutting down. But this is something I learned later on, and I wish I knew sooner. If you just roll these towels, any kind of little blanket, and you put them here and you put the baby here, the baby will not roll off. So you can put like a couple here, and it really keeps the baby situated. So these are amazing. Tuck them underneath the baby. So you would be nursing like this. This is just one technique. And you would actually put them here, and then that would prop them so they wouldn't fall back. You don't have to do that with your hands. You could do other stuff with your hands, like drink water. So just wanted to cover that with those blankets. They're something I just wish I knew much sooner. Another thing, have a ton of water. One thing with nursing is that your body triggers to drink more fluids. It's just a natural reaction to nursing. So you're gonna get really thirsty while you're nursing. And plus, the more fluids you drink, the more milk you'll be able to make. If you're dehydrated, your body won't be able to make as much breast milk. So those are a couple things of just the supplies that you need. And I will show you how I use the boppy to situate the babies in tandem nursing when I was by myself, because I often nursed alone. One of the reasons I wanted to do the nursing video in my bedroom is because you often nurse in your bed. It's really a nice area to go ahead and nurse, because the double pillow does take up so much space that you really need all the extra space you can get. Big piece of a couch is really great and comfortable. I have found that those gliders didn't work for us because they weren't big enough to support the 2 babies, the big pillow, and myself. So the bigger, the lazy boy type of thing or couch is really where you had a nurse, where all my friends with singletons, they could do it pretty much anywhere. I needed to sit down and make it an event. Change your baby. So by changing your baby's diaper before you feed them, even though they might not, the diaper might not really need it, is it wakes them up enough to feed, right? So if you have a really sleepy baby, they're gonna eat for like a minute and then probably fall asleep. And I could tell you when you have a singleton and you're nursing on demand, that's fine. But when you have two, you really want to structure them to be awake, to be really equally awake at the same time, which is, it's hard to do because it's two different people. But you want to try to do that your best and try to keep them on a schedule to nurse around the exact same time. Some people choose that they could tandem, and some, I talked to a lot of nursing moms that they couldn't tandem for a number of reasons. They found it stressful, they found it too hard. So I do want to show you ways to make tandem nursing a lot easier for you. But something I tried not tandem a couple times, just individually, and I found that I was nursing 24 hours a day, and I really never got any time off, and it was very hard on me. So I did find tandem to be much easier. So one thing you want to do is change your baby, right? So you change the diaper, you kind of make them a little bit on the cool side, because when babies are really warm and comfortable, they might fall back asleep. So this isn't to torture your baby, this is to keep your baby awake and alert so they could really take in as much milk as their tummy could hold. So one of the things, the way that I would get them situated, let's say they were in their, bassinet next to the bed, is I would pick one up. So that's something to think about. So now you've changed your baby. And then you're gonna just rest your baby in the boppy so that you could see the baby, and then you're gonna get your other baby, you're gonna do the same thing, you're gonna change them. And what you're gonna do is when you get into the bed, one baby's sitting here in the boppy, the other baby's in your hand, you're gonna hold your baby. Or you can do is, if you have another boppy, which I did, I'd put the other baby in the other boppy. So we're gonna pretend that's a boppy right there. And then I'm gonna situate my buffet tray, and I am going to put one of the babies here and put one of the babies here, and then, then I would use these, especially on the baby that's on the outside. I just always envision the baby just rolling right off. And then you would nurse. And I actually found this really, even when they got a lot older, to be the easiest position. There's so many others that you could check out online. And I'm gonna have links in the description that you can go ahead and just, view those videos, positions to nurse your twins. But this is the one that I found the easiest, and no matter how big they got, they could just kind of stretch their legs out this way. And while I'm here, I will tell you why I started to exclusively pump. My kids are a little bit on the crazy side. So my daughter had all this hair, my son was bald. He would reach over and yank her hair out, and she would reach over and poke him in the eye. And no matter how I did that, I had to keep separating them, and I had to keep breaking them up because they would torture each other, and then they would both start crying because one got their hair pulled, one got poked in the eye. So that was the only reason that I eventually went to exclusively pumping. But just because it was just getting too frustrating and just a little bit too hard with trying to nurse both of them. But I do know a lot of twin moms that up until 2.5 years old kept nursing them. So it's really up to your ability to manage this and your kids, because some kids are just happy to nurse and they don't bother each other. They're just enjoying the experience. They feel relaxed in it. So it's gonna really, each kid is different. I mean, each situation is different. So you'll see which one you fall into, and make sure you share your stories in the comments below. We're all in it together and we're here to help. This is what I would do when I would go burp or do anything. One would maybe still be eating, and if the other one was kind of slowing down, I would just pick them up and just kind of have my arm up so the other one keeps eating, and just burp that one, put that one down. Sorry, I moved this one. And then do the same thing here, burp this one. And when they're completely done, I would pick up one, put them in the boppy, pick up the other one, and then put them in the boppy, and then get myself up, situated, and then come back for them. So I really found this way to be really easy and safe for them and comfortable for me. And all right, let's talk about newborns. Some things in the hospital is you really have to push to see a lactation consultant, especially when you have twins, because we do need more help than a regular singleton mom. And so make sure you're your best advocate. You get your partner to be your advocate to make sure that you get a lactation consultant to meet with you. I actually had one coming in every day while I was in the hospital. So something the lactation consultant advised me to do, but I didn't really I didn't take it seriously, or I didn't understand, is she said start pumping in the hospital. I didn't do that, but I do recommend that you should try pumping in the hospital. I really, looking back at it, it stimulates milk production even more. So one of the ways to get your milk to come in faster after birth is to stimulate it as often as you can. So, you know, having babies on you, nursing is one great way, and then in between you could also pump too. So that's just another way to stimulate it to come in faster. It usually comes in around day 3. Some people all the way day 11, I've heard, and some people get it, you know, day 1 or day 2. So it really just depends on you. In the hospital, I had to supplement with a little bit of formula. That's because the colostrum, the first milk that you get, I didn't have enough to feed 2 babies. So my kids were actually getting jaundice after they were born. They didn't have it before they were born. So because they weren't getting enough of breast milk. So we did start to supplement a little bit with formula, and I just want to let you know, a lot of times moms feel like they're a failure. It has nothing to do with your body. It's just a little bit of milk that you're getting at first, right, when you have the babies, might not be enough to share between 2 babies. So you might just need to supplement. My kids had no problem going back to nursing after that, as long as you're consistently nursing after that. So, you know, if that happens and you feel like you need the milk, the formula, you got to do what's best for your kids. And if they're not getting enough, go ahead and supplement. And if your kids aren't getting enough and the doctor or the lactation consultant says you need to supplement, free yourself that it is okay. You could still be successful at nursing even though you supplemented at the hospital. One thing about nursing is nursing twins is really hard, and a lot of, you know, most parents, even with singletons, don't make it to 6 months. So I just want to free you that if you don't make it very long, or it's not for you, it's just too hard, you know, that is okay. There's great formulas out there. I do want to provide support if nursing is something you want to do and you're just curious how to do it. I want to help you, and really, you know, if you have any questions or advice to give, please give them in the comments below. So, okay, so nursing a newborn. When they're born, their stomach is like the size of a marble, and by day 10, it's pretty much the size of like a large egg. So it really grows quite a bit. So really at first, depending also if your kids are a little bit preemies, you definitely want to follow the advice of your doctors and the NICU nurses and everybody like that. Okay, so just to let you know that you can't get a newborn baby on a schedule. Okay, so I hear that a lot. What happens is when they're in the belly, when you're walking around, you know, just doing your living life, you're kind of rocking them to sleep, right? Because all the amniotic fluid, they're sitting in there and they're kind of being falling asleep. So then at night when you go to sleep, you'll kind of feel like there's like a party going on in your belly. That's because the kids wake up, right? So they're no longer being rocked to sleep, and when they're born, that's why kids are so flipped around. They'll keep you up all night, and then during the day they sleep. So when people really come over to help you, more times than not, your newborn is sleeping. So you're like, no, I need help at 3 in the morning. What's wrong with you people? But that's one of the reasons. So kids only go, you know, like 2 or 3 hours between a feed. That's okay. It's just a part of it. What I did was, I was really crazy. I would set my alarm for the day for every 3 hours to wake them, because I wanted to keep them on a schedule. You could still do on-demand nursing with yours. So I was just a little bit more regimented because I really wanted them both to do the same thing at the same time. But then I also pumped in between to really try to, you know, increase my supply, stimulate everything, and really tell my body that, hey, I need a tremendous amount of milk. I was a little bit crazy with it. I think in hindsight, I would have let myself sleep more at night. And, you know, so that's something I would like to give, that kind of advice, that if you're a really regimented person, give yourself the freedom that if the kids aren't waking up, don't wake them up. So let them sleep. And maybe if one wakes up, you could wake up the other one, but don't necessarily have to be as regimented, especially at night. If they're going for longer stretches at night, let them sleep, because then you're just training them to kind of have longer stretches at night, which is really a blessing. Something else to know, wear those nursing pads to cover up. Even if a baby is crying, including your baby or someone else's baby, like at a grocery store, is crying, that could actually activate your letdown reflex, which is crazy. So make sure that you always have those pads in. Also, if you start to nurse one at a time, you will notice that when you're nursing one, your other one will start to let down a little bit. That's actually another reason I didn't like tandem nursing. I really viewed breast milk as gold, and I just didn't want any of it to go into my pad. I get so upset. So, but just, you know, keep that in mind, that you definitely need the nursing pads, because when you're nursing one, a little bit will let down on the other one. You could also, if you wanted to, nurse one and pump the other one. You know, so just kind of get it all set up and just pump, and then you could rotate, you know, the next one. Then, you know, when you're done nursing that one, you can give this one the pumped milk that you just had, if Tandem isn't for you. Or you could split that milk for later and give some formula and split it. However you want to do it, what's right for your family is right for your family. But I just wanted to give those options that you can actually pump one while you're feeding the other one. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel and find us on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram. It's all at Feeding My Kid. And we're gonna work with you on how to introduce all kinds of foods, solid foods to your baby, from baby-led weaning to purees. And then what we're also gonna do is really focus on how to get your kids to eat more vegetables and really how to be a healthy lifelong eater. So make sure you stay tuned to all of that. And we look forward to meeting you. And if you have any questions, go ahead and ask them in the description below the video. And we're so excited to take this journey, and congrats on having twins. It's so exciting. And if you have other twin related questions, non-food related, ask those too.